Well, this is a rather lucky eBay auction win. This is a Luton Bowman PW 202 model steam engine, stationary engine. Now, the reason I'm really pleased about this one is that Luton Bowman made quite a few different steam engines, but in the stationary line they only made three like this. The PW 201, the PW 202, which is what this is, and the PW 203. Now I've got the 201 and the 203. I've had them for many years, and the 203 was one of the first engines that I actually restored. But the overtype, which is the 202, is a little bit rarer and harder to come by. Now this one's in pretty poor shape, and it's missing its burner, and it's also unfortunately missing the cylinder, piston, and conrod. But they can be quite easily made, so I'm not too bothered about that. I can turn those up quite easily on the lathe. Yeah, it's. Say there were two of them actually on one. The other one was in much better condition and consequently went for a lot more money. Yeah, they don't generally sort of turn up too often. What I will do is I will bring in the, so you can see the two. We'll pull this out a little bit and put the two side by side. Right, so that is the PW. This is the 201. Very similar engine. I mean, it's basically you've got the same, more or less the same boiler, firebox. This is the burner, which is missing from the from this one. But there are reproduction ones out there. You can buy reproduction versions of that, so that's quite easy. And as you can see, this is a cylinder and piston, which I've disconnected because I wanted to compare the two together. But this would fit on there in place of this quite easily. But I've got some, because I've got this, obviously a lot easier to make the replacement one for this. But yeah, it's very nice to have that one. So got some work to do on it, but then there's a whole load of steam engines waiting in the queue to have work done on, so I'm not sure when I'll get around to doing that. But yeah, it should be a reasonably easy restore. Well, here's the finished Luton Bowman PW 202. Turned out fairly well. I'm quite pleased with it. Cleaned up really well. That's not its burner. I don't actually have a burner for this one yet. This is borrowed off of my PW 201, as it's identical. But yeah, it's come out really. I'm really pleased with it. It's come out very well indeed. As you know, I had to make a new cylinder, piston, and conrod for it, which is a fairly straightforward machine operation. And also, I was fortunate in the fact that because I already own the Luton Bowman PW 201, which has exactly the same cylinder, piston, and conrod, I had something to copy. Turns out that the piston is 5/16, so basically what I did was I took a piece of a brass bar, 1.5 inch, which like this, bored it 7.75 millimeters, reamed it 5/16, pied it off to the correct length, and then simply soldered it onto the cylinder mounting block here, and then drilled the hole through for the steam. I had a bit of 5/16 brass rod, so that was the piston. That's all it basically is. It's just a piece of 5/16 rod with a small groove in it. Drill a hole in one end for the conrod. The conrod on these is actually a piece of flat brass, but it's not parallel. So basically what I've done in this case is I just got a bit of brass sheet the right size and filed it to shape, as simple as that, and the right length, then soldered it into the piston. Now, normally when I'm doing these restores, you guys get to see the very first steaming, but I was concerned because I had to make the cylinder and the piston on this one. I have actually already steamed this, so I do know that it runs. So it won't in fact be its first run, but no, it's turned out very well indeed. I do like these. They're nice. They're nice engines. There's something about them that there are no other engines really that look like this. The way that they do this with the solid flywheel, they're just, and that rather unique safety valve. No, they're really nice. So we'll get it steamed in a minute, but I'm going to show you a quick clip with it next to its brother Luton Bowman engine, so you can do a comparison. Okay, well, here are the three of them together. Here we have the PW 201, the 202, which I've just done, and the 203, which was one of the first engines I actually restored. And as you can see, the 202 is really the baby of the group, but they all have definite similarities. That's quite clear. These two share the same firebox. Flywheel is the same piston cylinder mount, very similar. They've all got the same safety valve and overflow plug, level plug. So, right, let's go on. Let's get on and get it steamed. Well, heat has been in there for a few minutes now. I think we should be pretty much ready to go. We're certainly getting near it. Yes, there we go. Look at that. Oh, not quite. Yes. Perfect. One of the design features I do like about the Luton Bowmans is that the safety valve is quite a large thread. So the hole in the boiler for the safety valve is quite wide, so you can get a decent size funnel in there for filling the boiler, and that just makes life a hell of a lot easier. A lot of these smaller engines, Mammoths particularly, they have very small safety valve holes, so it's quite difficult to fill the boiler. A leaky safety valve, that's not a problem really. But yeah, runs a treat. Well pleased with that. There's my new piston in there doing its job, along with the cylinder. Yes, very pleased with that. It's turned out very nice indeed. Oh, if you're wondering why I've mounted it on a small wooden base, I went through a phase many years ago when I was restoring model steam engines of mounting them on wooden bases. Don't ask me why, I can't even remember why I did it at the time. But as the other two Luton Bowmans are on wooden bases, I decided that I'd put this one on. It does stop them from drifting around while they're running, so it does help with that. But, so there you go, my recently restored Luton Bowman PW 202, running for the second time since the restoration is completed. I hope you enjoyed this little video on the Luton Bowman PW 202. Thanks very much for watching. Cheers.